So if you watched my previous video, I went over a recently discovered glitch by the Chinese community of Diablo 4 that essentially allows you to get one of the boss ladder bosses, specifically Beast and Ice, to spawn in while doing other pieces of content that boss shouldn't be able to spawn in at to give you additional boss loot. And that last video was specifically about essentially doubling up the loot you're getting for farming any layer boss. So you would go in, you would farm any layer boss, and once you kill that layer boss, it would also drop additional Beast in the Ice loot at your feet, which could also give you mythic items. So you're essentially just kind of doubling the chance to get mythics. But in this video, we're going to go over the actual original glitch that people discovered. My previous video going over the kind of boss ladder version of this wasn't something I really saw anybody talk about, primarily because the method we're going to go over in this video can be much better and just give you an ungodly amount of loot and an ungodly amount of chances at mythic loot, because this is going to be using that same glitch method just in Infernal Hordes. Now, first we have to go over the prerequisite and the actual glitch activation method. Pretty much the only thing you're really going to need for this is the Out of the Cold node in the layer boss skill tree. This says, when fighting a boss in a Nightmare dungeon, the Beast in the Ice has a chance to appear and attack you. When this occurs, killing the Nightmare dungeon boss has a chance to drop unique items from the Beast in the Ice's Horde chest. Now, how this actually works is that when you have this activated and you're in a Nightmare dungeon, anything you kill that's considered a boss just drops the Beast in the Ice's unique loot, like you were killing them as a Horde boss. If you go kill any Nightmare dungeon boss, it'll drop. If you go kill the Amalgam of Rage that can spawn in the dungeons, it'll drop. If you kill randomly spawning Butchers or X-Vols, those will drop the loot. Even if you go kill the boss in a Heraldic Strongroom, all of that will give you Beast in the Ice unique loot just by having this node. And this is really the kind of main thing you need for the glitch to actually be activated. On top of that, you are going to need activity keys, but these are so easy to get that you could go get them in a couple minutes and you'll be fine to do it. Now, once you have this node, you can then go and activate this glitch. So the first thing you're going to do is get any Nightmare Dungeon sigil. Doesn't matter what it is, you are not going to be running this. So I'd recommend going and crafting the base Nightmare Dungeon sigils. So you're just going to activate a Nightmare Dungeon sigil, then you're going to teleport to that dungeon. So once you're in that Nightmare Dungeon, you are then going to teleport to any boss ladder boss's lair. So the boss ladder dungeons, just go teleport to it off of your map. Don't leave the Nightmare dungeon you were in or anything like that. Just teleport to a boss ladder dungeon. Once you've loaded in the boss ladder dungeon, you are then going to activate your Infernal Hordes key. This is going to close that Nightmare dungeon, and then you are going to open your map up again and teleport to your Infernal Hordes activated run. Don't leave the boss ladder dungeon you were just in. Just open your map and teleport to your Infernal Hordes run. And at this point, the glitch is activated. Now, once you've gone into this Infernal Hordes run, you cannot leave and go back to town, or the glitch will be deactivated and you'll have to redo everything I just went over. Now, what doing this glitch has done is that any boss enemy within that Infernal Hordes run will now be considered a Nightmare Dungeon boss, which means it will drop Beast in the Ice loot at your feet when you defeat them. So if a Butcher spawns in that Infernal Hordes run, you'll get Beast in the Ice loot at your feet. If you go kill the end boss at the end, you will get Beast in the Ice loot at your feet. But you can also have a bunch of different methods to get Aether bosses to spawn. And I'm not talking about the Aether Fiends, which are the elite versions. I'm talking about the Aether bosses, or specifically they're called Aether Lords, but they're just the Aether bosses. Now, there's two main ways to go about getting them. First one, and probably the main one you'll be getting a ridiculous amount from, is the Chaos Waves. Anytime you enter a Chaos Wave, there is just a chance for it to be the wave that just spawns the Chaos Portals and Aether Lords. That's all you're doing, and this has always been one of the better Chaos Waves. Every single one of those Aether Lords you defeat will drop Beast in the Ice boss loot at your feet, which will generally just be unique items from the Beast in Ice and a boss trophy for the Beast in Ice. Now, this also means that since it's boss loot, it can also drop mythics. So let's say you get one of these Chaos Waves and you kill literally dozens of Aether Lords. Every single one of those just has a chance to drop a mythic like you were farming a normal boss layer. So you could legitimately get a Chaos Wave full of Aether Lords and potentially come out with multiple mythic items. You will also be able to come out with legitimately like 100 plus uniques if you don't filter any of them out, but you'll be able to get dozens of ancestral uniques specifically from the Beast in Ice. So on top of everything else, if you're specifically looking for Beast in the Ice unique loot, this is actually by far the best farm to do it for. Now, Chaos Waves aren't the only way in which you can start to get a lot of Aether Lords to spawn, because just from normal Infernal offerings, you can also get the legendary one, which says Aether Lords cause Hellfire to erupt around them, and Aether Fiends spawn as Aether Lords and drop 3x Aether. So if you get this node, anytime an Aether Fiend would have normally spawned, so just going over to the Aether event and an Aether Fiend pops out, that would always be an Aether Lord now, which would give you Beast in the Ice loot. Then you have a bunch of other synergies with that. So you could also get that mixed with the Infernal offering, where masses now have a chance to spawn an Aether Fiend on death. If you have those two mixed together, anytime you kill a mass, it'll now just have a chance to spawn an Aether Lord, which again will always just drop you Beast in the Ice loot. And you obviously have a bunch of different other things, like some of the other Chaos Waves can also spawn in some Aether Lords, and then you also just have a chance to spawn in Aether Lords through other methods. You also just have a chance for things like the Butcher to spawn in here. So all of that stuff, anything that's considered a boss, will just drop you Beast in the Ice loot at your feet. Now, I will be doing a future video once I've tested out all of the other nodes throughout the endgame skill trees that help this farm specifically, because I think there are going to be some additional things through the Infernal Hordes tree that can make it better, and even through the Nightmare Dungeon skill tree that could possibly make it better as well. But the second thing you're really going to be wanting is the node in the Infernal Hordes tree called Total Chaos. So you go down the middle purple tree, and on the right side of that, you can get Total Chaos, which Chaos Waves appear more frequently. You will just get one less Infernal offering each wave, and this mixed with the event that's currently going on that buffs up how many Chaos Waves you get in Infernal Hordes runs means on average you're getting like 4+ Chaos Waves in a 10 wave Infernal Hordes run, and you could get a lot more than that. I think the most I've ever gotten is 8 Chaos Waves in a singular run, so keep in mind just rolling the dice. The one of those is the Aether Lord Chaos Wave, where you'll just kill dozens and dozens of Aether Lords, which is essentially the equivalent of you killing dozens and dozens of the Beast in the Ice layer boss. So that's something else you're really going to want, and that only requires 2 points in the Infernal Hordes tree, which pretty much everybody has. It's very easy to get the first couple points, and that's really the main thing you're going to want out of the Infernal Hordes skill tree, because that just massively increases the amount of Chaos Waves you're getting. Now, on top of all of this, you can also increase your loot even more through the Nightmare Dungeons skill tree, because while a lot of nodes in the Nightmare Dungeon skill tree doesn't affect this glitch, a couple of them do. And to get to the node I'm really talking about, one of the first nodes in the Nightmare Dungeon skill tree is just going to give you that war chest at the end of Nightmare Dungeons. You will also get that at the end of the Infernal Hordes run if you have it activated, which you should, because you will also get this other node that is much more important, and that's the bottom node on the left side skill tree, which is called a Fearless Conviction. While in the Nightmare Dungeon, killing elites and champions grants you stacks of conviction. Getting hit by elites or champions will lose you a stack, and when you complete that activity, a conviction chest spawns at the end of the dungeon where you use all of these conviction stacks on it to open the chest and get a bunch of additional loot. So essentially how this normally works is when you're in a Nightmare Dungeon, you kill anything that's considered an elite, which includes bosses, it includes goblins, any elites or champions. They will drop these little green orbs that when you pick them up, it stacks up and it'll have a counter for you in Nightmare Dungeons, where then at the end of the dungeon, there will be a chest there. Depending on how many stacks you have, you will get a chest that gives you more and more loot the more stacks you have. Well, if you do this glitch for Infernal Hordes runs, this will also activate in that run, which, as you can imagine, you will be killing an infinitely more amount of elites or bosses in an Infernal Horde run than you would in a Nightmare Dungeon. Now, while it does seem that this chest has diminishing returns or just doesn't scale at all past a certain point, you will get a ridiculous amount of loot at the end of this run. Now, there won't actually be the normal tracker like you have in Nightmare Dungeons, because usually you will have this little tracker pop up that tells you how many conviction stacks you have. In Infernal Hordes, it doesn't have that, but it is still tracking them behind the scenes. So as you're just running around killing everything, just pick up the orbs when you come across them. At the the end of every wave, just go through the arena and pick up all of the green little orbs. Then when you defeat the boss at the end, a little green chest will spawn, open it up with those, and it actually drops a ton of stuff, tons of materials, a good chunk of gear. It'll actually give you quite a big chunk of like seals and charms as well. So that's just a ton of additional loot. This thing isn't required, but if you're already doing Infernal Hordes runs, you might as well do this to get a ton of additional loot, essentially for free. And that's really all you're going to need for this farm. After you have these select nodes we talked about, which it costs 3 to get down to this Fearless Conviction, the other trees, it only costs 2 in the Infernal Hordes tree, and it only costs 1 in the Lair Boss tree to get all the nodes we went over for this glitch to work. And then to actually do the farm, you just need 1 Nightmare Dungeon Sigil and your 1 Infernal Hordes Compass, and you can start this glitch for a full 10 waves of Infernal Hordes. So on top of all of this, you're just going to want to be maxing out the amount of Aether you can get. Obviously, the main thing you want to focus on is getting as many Aether Lords to spawn, whether that means taking the Infernal Hordes options that can give you Aether Lords or that can buff up Aether Fiends, and then selecting every Chaos Wave. And then outside of that, again, just get as much Aether as you can, because then you can open up any of the chests at the end of that Infernal Hordes run. And make sure to subscribe, because I am going to be doing another video after I've tested all these different nodes to see what can give you the most amount of juice using this glitch farm method. So I would definitely recommend doing this. They're probably not going to end up fixing this season. There may even be the chance that they don't fix it next season, because this is quite similar to the Haragic Strong Room glitch we previously had. If you don't remember that, when the Haragic Strong Room was originally introduced, you could just start any Nightmare Dungeon, and then you could teleport to a boss ladder dungeon, and any boss ladder dungeon could have a Haragic Strong Room just spawn in it. So it's very similar to this glitch, and it took them, I think, like 3 seasons to fix that. This may be around for a while, but more than likely it won't be fixed this season, so I'd recommend you give it a go, especially if you're looking for mythics specifically. Because if you get like a Chaos Wave full of Aether Lords where you're killing literally dozens and dozens of Aether Lords, there is a very low chance you don't get at least 1 mythic per Aether Lord Chaos Wave using this glitch method, and then you can just get a bunch more on top of that. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.